What's good, guys? Ricky, aka Refky, and welcome to episode 1 of the StyleCast. This is going to be a series where I sit down with cars that I think have cool style and their owners, and just really showcase cars that don't really get too much limelight. And episode number 1 is going to be with my good friend Sebastian, who's a big reason why I got my Miata, and we got his VIP styled Miata behind me here, and we're going to have a conversation, and so you guys can get a little more insight on what he's done to the car. And without further ado, let's get into the first episode. All right, guys, so I'm here with my good friend Sebastian Santos, and this is his NV Miata, and
Hi, guys.
yeah, okay, neither of us have ever done any sort of like interview like this, so this is definitely a first for both of us.
This is honestly a first, but I'm glad to be invited, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, he's the perfect guest, as if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have bought my car. So tell us a little bit about this, when you got it and all that.
So to start off, this is a 2000 Mazda Miata. You could tell that it's specifically an MB1 from the headlights and the front bumper. Those two are the main factors, whether it's an MB1 and an MB2. And the reason I came about this was in a random parking lot.
But tell them how, like, we went to high school together, and like he always, when I like to say I got him into cars, but like when he got into cars, he found the Miata because he wanted a Camaro before Miatas.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry to expose you. But he wanted an NA Miata. So the fact that I thought it was really funny when he did end up getting this car, but I'm glad he got this and not an NA. But tell them like that, how.
So basically, I really wanted an NA at first because at the time it was a very popular car. Everybody was modding them out. You would have the pop-up headlights, obviously, again. And so it was just the perfect beginner car, you know, as a car enthusiast, because it was technically going to be my first car. And so I was searching through OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, just all around just to find a Miata, which I did come across one. And we went all the way up to LA. And I remember it specifically because I had to sell shoes like on a random, Sunday just to make enough money to go check it out. And I got my hopes down, I'll be honest, the guy didn't take care of it, and it didn't leave a good note, And so as we went from LA down a little bit south, I came across this car. Obviously, it was stock, it wasn't modified, it didn't have the wheels, it didn't have the hard top, it had a soft top, actually. And so it was just this one lady at a Bank of America. And so I just asked her, and I was like, hey, are you selling it? And so she just straight up told me, yeah. And so fast forward 8 months later, which I'll get into more detail.
But also, he waited a fucking eternity for this car. And I remember vividly telling him, like, what is your plan B? Because how long did you wait?
I waited around 8 months.
8 months. That's like, coming from an impatient person, like I could never do that. But shout out to him for waiting so long and getting the literal perfect car. For how much you paid? $3,000?
I paid $3,000 back in 2020.
For how many miles did it have?
It had 49,000 miles to start with. So
literally a brand new Miata for $3,000. Like that doesn't exist nowadays. So
that's definitely really rare to come across, by the way.
That's huge. That's just patience really goes to play when you're in this whole car scene thing. You really need patience, which a lot of us struggle with.
And I didn't want it at first. That's what's crazy. I was still hard struck on the NA. And I had the lady's contact, and I still, I just kept like waiting her out, just to see if she changed her mind or sold it to somebody else. But no. After that 7th month, I told her like, hey, just straight up, are you going to sell it to anybody else? Because I've already waited. And she said, no, like you waited this much,
That's crazy. It's a true triumphant story, I think. Honestly, I forgot how long you waited. That's crazy.
Yeah, because we went to check it out. Me, you, and then Chris, we all went to check it out together. Shout out to Chris, by the way.
Yeah, I do remember that. Shout out Chris behind the camera.
Chris, the cameraman right behind us. There you go.
Yeah. So also, I never mentioned his Instagram is Sebsense. I'll throw it in when I first introduced him. But if you guys want to follow him on Instagram, because that's pretty much like all these cars and people I interview are mainly going to be people through Instagram. I guess talk about what you wanted to do, what your vision was when you initially got the car.
So like my vision when I originally got the car. So at first I really didn't have a vision. At first I was just playing video games online on my computer, just kind of like messing, you know how you guys play Need for Speed or Car X Drift, you know how you kind of mess around with the wheels, the paint colors, kind of like customize your car. Well, that's what I did online, and I was like looking at wheels, and I'm like, Well, at first I didn't want like some, I don't want to call basic wheels, but I wanted something to stand out. And so that's what kind of formulated the plan for this vehicle. I wanted something crazy to look at, so I was like, what's the perfect wheel? And that's BBS RS's. 32 spokes, it's something, that's really crazy spokes, it's a lot to take in. It's like up in your face, and it's also a classic wheel, by the way. I think they've been around the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, they're one of the most classic Euro wheels, which I think is really cool. Running Euro wheels on a JDM car, I think is super unique. But tell them where you source them from.
So that's another crazy story. So the way I found my wheels was through a guy named Kevin, and he is in Taiwan. Just to begin, these wheels are custom spec to my car. They're custom fitted, They are 15 by 8 by 25 point. I don't know what he machined it to, but it's a specific point to be specifically flush with the car. So it's like half tucking, as you can tell, but also like right on it, right on the fender. And I basically talked to him at 3 a.m. for 2-3 months. Another 2-3 months, yeah.
Yeah.
2-3 months.
This guy's patience is insane. It's insane, but I mean, it goes to show.
And funny story, we were back and forth because he didn't know what a Miata was. So in other countries, the Miata is actually called Roadster and Unos. So it actually has 2 different names, which in his country, they're called Roadsters. And so we were going back and forth, and I'm like, Miata. And he's like, what car is that? And I'm like, Roadster, and until he said Roadster, he's like, okay, I know which car it is. I'll machine it to your specific specs. So just again, these are 15 by 8, so 15-inch wheels.
Plus 25 offset.
Plus 25 offset. They're 8 wide. And on a 2-inch slip, which means it's on a 6-inch barrel.
It's a step lip, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a step lip. So
it's a step. Yeah, it's not a.
It's not a flat lip because like VSKFs have flat lips, right? They're not stepped at all.
I think so. Take everything we're saying with a grain of salt. We're
not car gurus. We're just dudes in a podcast.
They know what they're doing, but they don't.
But yeah, I decided to wrap them in Toyo tires. They're specifically HP2 Extensas. Tread pattern, because I don't like to gatekeep, is 195/45 R15. Slightly stretched, but not fully. You could still see the lip, but it's not fully exposed. It's
not as stretched as my tires are way more stretched, as you guys have seen from my video, but
his tires are a lot more stretched than mine. That's for sure.
I mean, still, the way he has it set up it's pretty perfect. Like, I wouldn't change anything.
No, yeah. Like at some point I did want to stretch them more, but there's no point. At least how the car is configured, there's no reason to right now.
And then what are you running suspension wise?
Suspension wise, I'm running D2 air suspension. So the reason that I came across, I was actually originally static. I don't know if we have some pictures over here, but I was actually rocking BC coils before this.
Which are now on my car.
Which are on his car now. And so
little hand-me-downs,
but they were still in good condition. They had under 2,000 miles on the coils. So
and I've put 40,000 miles on them, and they're still.
So it goes to show they last.
Yeah, some good coils.
So yeah, so this is on D2 air suspension, and the lines are actually run underneath the car. I know a lot of people like to run the lines through the car, which me personally, I don't understand why. If you're gonna have to poke holes through the firewall, but it's all in the back. All the air suspension's in the rear. It's on 2 Vera air compressors, just in case one fails. The other one's still able to, pump air, just in case I get stuck in a pinch. And it's all tied in with a 4-gallon, which is in the custom trunk setup.
And tell them about your lines and how thick those are.
Yeah, so one thing about airlines is that you get multiple choices between what you want to run. You can get 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, or even, I know some guys that even run a full inch of air, which those guys have a bigger tank than this 4-gallon because it's just gonna drain it, So I'm currently rocking 3/8 lines, which are not recommended for this car specifically, because what I've done through testing is that 3/8 lines are meant for a little bit heavier cars. So what that means is that air just pumps in and dumps out super quickly. So I don't know if we have a clip of it, but
So tell them about the thickness of the line setup, because he was telling me about, actually when we installed the back setup, I was the one that did all the lines under the car, which honestly wasn't that, we just zip tied them to the bottom of the car. But he was telling me how the thickness of the lines determines how fast you're able to air out and air up. So tell them more about that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different variety of airlines. You have 1 inch, half-inch, 3/8, and 1/4 inch, which all depend on the weight of the car and how much air it pumps in and out of the car. So 1/4 inch is the most standard airline that they'll sell to you. And so that's what you see in the videos of people airing out super slowly, you know, very gently. But I decided to take it up a notch and do 3/8 lines because, 19-year-old me thought that would be a good idea. And so, come to find out, 3/8 lines on a 2,300 pound car is definitely not a good idea because it just dumps.
It turned into a lowrider. You know, lowrider's like. Tss, tss, tss.
It's borderline a lowrider without the lowrider part, you know, but it can literally go up super quickly and just dump.
I think that's kind of cool.
It's cool in its own way, but reliability-wise, it's not the best, I'll be honest, because one, the bags just fill up too quickly, which also can lead to tears in the long run, which that's another thing. Maintenance on bags is not fun, by the way. I already popped one bag, which is this one right here. And replacing it's a whole different story.
How was that, replacing it?
Replacing it, well, again,
you have to take the strut off and
you have to take the strut off.
Because it's literally a bag, like it's like a coilover, but instead of the coil, it's the bag, correct?
Yeah, so in this case for the Miata, it's a sleeve. So what happens is that as it compresses down, there's like a plastic texture material, and if you don't set up your suspension right, you can rub on that sleeve, which is what happened at first. And when you rub, you have two layers of rubbing. So one, you'll rub through the plastic, and then there's just like a tire, there's lines. And so you'll just rub through it and just leak air.
Yeah. So it's definitely not as reliable as like static. Like I'm all about the whole static life, and he's the opposite. But to each their own. I mean, as long as your car looks sick, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. But it is something to think about. It's not as reliable, I guess. But you do have the peace of mind of, you know, airing up and not destroying your car.
Yeah, which is one of the things, like, I don't know if you guys live in Southern California, but on the I-15, there is some nasty potholes and bumps that you need to be aware of. Yeah. And when I was static going up the I-5, or I-15 North, sorry, I don't know if you guys know where the In-N-Out is on the I-5 of Escondido, but when I was static, just hit a pothole and I thought I cracked my oil pan. And that's one of the reasons why I switched to bags. Even though that's part of the game of fixing stuff, if you think about it, this car is still a baby, which I wanted to take care of it in the long run. Yeah. I didn't want to destroy it.
Oh, like me, I cracked my oil pan.
So the body kit on this car, just again, it's an OEM body kit. You have what you could call replica side skirts from Carbon Miata. This is the MB1 side skirts that came with the appearance package. Only a few Miatas had it. It just gives it a nice flare, you know, a little extension, you know, on the sides. The rear, they are just the OEM mudguards, you know. There are two types of mudguards, which on Ricky's car, he has the MB2 mudguards, which are a little bit more deeper.
Long, like super long.
They're like a little bit longer. They're not as low, are they, or no?
I think it's the same. They're just longer.
They're longer. They just hug the car more. Meanwhile, these are more slimmer and you could say more universal, you know. And on the front, I do have a weird setup right now. That's only to protect my lip. But I do have a OEM Carbon Miata lip followed by a track dog splitter. And the only reason why I have the splitter on is to protect the lip, because repainting the lip is not, again,
it looks cool though. I mean, I'll put a clip so you guys can really see a closer look, but I think it says Track Dog Racing. It looks like it says Crack
Dog, yeah. A lot of people get it confused.
It looks cool though.
And then the hardtop again. OEM hardtop from a special edition Miata, by the way. The way the Miata hardtop came about, again, another story. I found it on, oh no, I did not find it on OfferUp. I posted a flyer on OfferUp saying I'm willing to buy a hardtop, and somebody messaged me for it.
Oh really, that's what happened?
Yeah, so it was an old grandpa, again, older people, you know, I don't know what's my luck with it, you know. But he messaged me saying he has a hardtop if I was interested in getting it, and so after work, I just booked it, you know. And I don't know if you guys know, but Miata hardtop prices yeah, the stocks for Miata hardtops are just going over the roof right now.
Hardtops are going to cost more than actual Miatas, and
Which at some
if
point
they're not
already
the same price.
Yeah, no, it's like right now you can find a decent hardtop for what, around $1,000, $2,000 maybe.
It's anywhere between 1 and 3. I've seen them for 4,000. It's crazy.
Yeah, the market for them is not good right now. I'd say if you can get one for cheap, perfect. But I got this one for $700 from the grandpa, and it's perfect.
That's crazy. That's a good deal.
And again, I got lucky that it's black, you know?
So what makes it a special edition, though, compared to a...
So it's just really where it came from.
Okay.
So it's the Miata that it came from. It's not really special.
There isn't anything particular on it?
I mean, I'd say besides that, I know there's some hardtops that don't have the defroster lines. I think, Rick, you don't have your defroster lines, do you?
Mine doesn't, but mine supposedly is an NA6, which is like one of the first original hardtops.
Which I did hear about that. I'm not too.
I don't know how true. Honestly, I don't know how true that is. But
I know it gets into like specifics between lines and stuff. But like this is off of a 95. That's what I know. That's what he told me, and he did have the cards to prove. He had 2 of them actually.
Oh, dang.
One with the hardtop, and the reason why he didn't want it was because he liked to track his car. So he actually tracked it with the soft top. Funny enough. Yeah. And so yeah, the hardtop came with everything. I haven't done any maintenance to it really. Just. I mean, apart from bolting it down, I mean, I know some people liked their hardtop just hard bolted on, but what I like to do is just take it off on and here and there, so it's just a preference thing, I'm assuming. You like yours now permanently on, right?
Yeah, because mine would get loose after like a few weeks, so I just bought these like hard mounts, and I haven't touched it since, and it's still rock solid in the car.
And it doesn't shake or anything, right? No?
It's literally part of the car. I love it. And they're like theft proof, I guess.
I was going to say, yeah, because somebody really has to get in there and get a screwdriver. Don't you have specialty screws on top of that?
Yeah, it came with like specialty screws and stuff. Whereas if it was a latch, you could just unlatch it and, I mean, theoretically just rip it off the car. So you've been to a ton of shows, as seen from all your stickers on your windshield. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I've actually been to a lot of shows. I've actually been to anywhere from Tuner Evo, which was actually my first show, and then all the way to Slammed Enough, you know? I mean, I'm trying to shoot for WECFest, but who knows, you know? WECFest...
SEMA?
No, I don't think we're going to SEMA though. But yeah, I've just been to a lot of shows. Again, been to 2 Slammed Enoughs already. Been to a lot of not name shows, but just outer shows. You know, like Fusion Auto Show. What's it called?
Is RPM a show? I'm just seeing from one of your stickers here.
RPM is a show. It's one of the newer like kids on the block. You know, like it's kind of like the new car culture era. You know, it's not very traditional like Slammed Enough. You know,
are those indoor or outdoor?
Those. They vary. Like, they've done them inside of, like, plane hangars, you know? Like, they have some cool locations, I'll be honest.
Ooh, that's cool.
So, like, you can do plane hangars. The last one was out in the open, you know? Like, it just varies, you know?
What is your preferred location for a show like this? Because this is primarily a show car, correct?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So, like, preferred location, I mean, well, I don't like the dirt. I've competed in the dirt. It just gets everything dirty. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the black cars, by the way, because...
I think any car enthusiast can agree that any show on dirt is just like, unless I guess you're in the desert or something, but
because you're just sitting there and just seeing all the dirt kick up, and you're like,
what about like the Florida shows where they like post up and air out on like beaches? I think that's the one exception.
I've been wanting to go to a beach show for the longest time. Just nothing in California gets done, you know. It's just regulations and stuff they have to do them, you know, either indoors or in a parking lot, you know.
But would you say you prefer indoor or outdoor? Indoor. Like a nice parking lot or a nice indoor?
A nice indoor, because it brings, you know, the vibes together. Everybody's like together. Again, all the teams are together. The lights hitting your car underneath. I don't know.
The lighting for me.
It's the lighting, really. It just makes like those details pop. Like if you have scratches on your car, like you can tell those show car guys, especially the ones that spend 1,000 hours, not a single scratch on their car. You know, from any angle that you see it from.
That is true. I love going to shows and like seeing how every single car is like perfect, like that people really go out of their way to perfect their car as much as possible. I personally love that.
And it's, again, I like to say it's a game. You got to play the game. You got to pay to play.
Yeah, you got to literally pay to play. What would you say is like your craziest story from one of these shows?
So my craziest story was actually my very first show. So when I got accepted into Tuner Evo, which I entered as a solo contestant, everything was going well that entire week until I just got rear-ended. 1 week before the show, by the way. And it still, haunts me because the huge Ram truck, they don't see you.
And tell them how, like, before that, your car was literally perfect.
So it was honestly, like, I'll be honest, there was just one tiny little surface rust spot, which it got painted, but it was not even like a full panel paint. It was just a blend. The rear end, it cracked the taillights, which, by the way, I have clear taillights, which, again, for Miatas, they don't make them. There's only one company that makes them. And
So they're kind of custom.
They're custom, yeah. One thing I will say quickly about them is if you could see the clear taillights, the bezel on them is silver too, which is a nice touch because the car's silver, so... That's
a cool touch. I'll put in a little closer so I can see that. But you ripped like 2 different sets of taillights, right? And kind of combined them to make them into those?
So, no, and yes and no. We actually got the cheap pair of eBay taillights, which they ended up cracking inside the oven or when we tried to use the heat gun. So I just bought the expensive ones, It's like buy cheap, buy twice,
Yeah, that's true.
But so going back to it, I got rear-ended 1 week before the show, and we had to haul to the body shop, because the frame got pulled in. Like, once the frame's pulled in, there's not a lot of things you can do as as yourself. You have to let the body shop do that if they have the tools. But yeah, we got it up and running in under the week, and we went to the show immediately.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would be so mad a week before you get rear-ended. That's like my biggest fear though, is getting rear-ended because you have no control.
And ever since then, you just look at the rear mirror every single time you're looking behind you.
Yeah, that sucks. So then, let's talk about your interior because that's a big part of your whole VIP style.
Yeah, so it actually is one of the things I take the most pride in, funny enough, because one, just like Ricky said, it's a VIP interior or VIP inspired because it's not fully VIP, but it takes hints, homages from VIP cars. So I like to start out by pointing the most obvious thing, and that's the tray, Who would have thought to put a VIP table inside a Miata,
Yeah, we spent 3 days making that from Home Depot supplies, literally. We went to Home Depot, bought the wood, the leather.
Wood, leather, and trim.
The chrome trim wrap and cut it all up. And
now we have a custom table that people actually ask about, funny enough, more than anything.
Yeah, that's probably one of the coolest things we've made.
Because the car doesn't have cup holders, and if you do, you have to open up the glove box, which is inconvenient,
Yeah.
So following with that, I also have custom catskin diamond stitch seats, you could call them, yeah. They're not seat covers, by the way, which I get a lot. They're actually fully reupholstered, they had to rip out the cloth,
The real deal.
The real deal. They put padding in that, and trust me, reupholstering leather is not cheap. It has a hint of purple, by the way, which is kind of nice. You could see the purple in the stitching. Which, following that again, I have LED lights that are purple to match the two-tone of the interior. So it's black and purple. That's the full interior color. A nice little add-on I will say is that I also have a OEM Miata Nardi wheel. I do want to get a Nardi wheel, but as a quick release, but
it's kind of no point.
It's no point,
Safety, and I mean, it's already a Nardi. It's an OEM Nardi, which almost no cars have from factory. So.
No, and if they do, it's probably like with the badge of the car,
Yeah,
It's one kind of thing. Like Mazda never put a badge unless you have an MB2 OEM wheel. The MB1's actually kind of got the special treatment.
Because the MB2 Nardi wheel has a Mazda badge, and then it has the Nardi badge under it, which is still cool, but yours is straight Nardi.
Strictly Nardi.
OEM Nardi, which is probably might be one of the only cars ever made with...
As far as I know,
with only the Nardi logo from factory. I think it's really special.
Unless there's something in Japan, which I'm aware of.
Yeah,
which most likely there is.
There's so many variations of this car in Japan that we aren't even aware of, so that might be a whole other thing.
Yeah, but besides that, OEM Nardi wheel with purple cluster lights. And the shift knob. The shift knob I did want to point touch. I actually pays homage to Ricky with his first car.
It's the first car thing I ever bought, like 4 or 5 years ago. Before I even had my Genesis, before I even got the car, I bought that shift knob.
So what was it again, a Genesis?
What was what?
It was a Genesis Coupe?
It was a 3.8 R-Spec Genesis. Super cool car. I definitely wouldn't have bought it knowing what I know now because I like my Miata way more.
Nice car.
It's part of my story.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, it is what it is. But it's super cool for him to still be paying homage and having it in his car.
You got to keep at least everything with the homies, And so another thing, no soft top. I got rid of it because at first my plan was to put the air tank right behind the seat, sorry.
I think it's so funny, like, these are roadsters that are made to be convertible, but, like, the end goal on any Miata owner is hardtop and pretty much to remove the soft top altogether.
And that's the thing. A lot of people want the hardtop until they realize that the soft top has a lot of, functionality, that you can take it off whenever you like.
Yeah. They both have their pluses.
Their pluses and downs.
But it's not you can't just, I mean, you can't just take it off and put the soft top on, but it's not as easy.
No,
as
you
it
either need a
seems.
crane from that carbon Miata sells, which it was like $50 or 180. I don't know. It's anywhere between
Yeah, it's something
that.
like that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, as a single person, you cannot take this off comfortably. It takes two people out like safely because you can also scratch the car.
And they are made out of fiberglass for you that don't know. So
Yeah, all the hardtops nowadays fiberglass, and like Mercedes has a fiberglass hardtop. Mazda Miatas, S2000s too, which
I think it's because it's lightweight and
Yeah.
strong and waterproof and all that.
But besides that, interior wise, not a whole lot done, you know? Like it's tasteful, you could say. There's just touches of it.
Less is more, just like your exterior.
Less is at the end of the day for me, less is more because at the end of the day again, just like Ricky said, there's not a lot of aftermarket on this car. If anything, you kind of just have to play with what you're given, and that's the OEM body kit because everything else just looks. It's not what you could call a Miata, like authentic Miata, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I love about our cars together is like they're the same car, but they're so like we've modified them so differently, and they're each in their each way. Like VIP and mine's like static, drifts, flare, whatever. I don't even know what I would call it, but
Like flare, like drift inspired.
yeah,
you
they're
know?
just so different while still being very similar. It's really interesting, I think.
No, yeah. I mean, and it pays off, you know. It looks two completely different styles. At the end of the day, it's the same chassis, you know.
Same chassis, yeah. So, what have you done anything under the hood?
Yes and no, actually. So to start, everything is stock, but the one thing is that I actually manual swapped this car.
So when you bought it, it was.
It was automatic. Who would have known? Automatic Miatas are rarer than manual Miatas, by the way. That's a fun fact.
Oh, that is true. Damn.
There was less made because everything else was manual at
Manual,
the time.
20, what, 20?
20
This is
25
2000?
25 years ago.
25 years ago. That's crazy.
So automatic was actually the luxury package for this car, funny enough. Yeah, because it was an option.
Yeah, that's true. But tell them, well, okay, so say, talk a little bit about what you got to be able to manual swap it, though.
To get what I got for the manual swap was another Miata. So I've actually owned two Miatas. Just unfortunately, the other one had to be scrapped because I just gutted it, took the parts out.
It was in a really bad accident, right? That's hence why you got it?
Yeah, which funny story. The guy crashed it, and then his plan after that was to put a Hellcat swap in it. I was in LA, by the way.
That's like every Miata's owner's
Dream.
If anything happens, or like massive swap after.
Yeah, so the guy like had plans for it after he crashed it, but I kind of found the post again on OfferUp. He wanted originally like $800, but he was kind of like, okay, 900, okay, 1,000. I'm like, okay, I kind of fought the dude. I'm like, 200, 1,000, 100, and that's it. You know, I'm not paying more. I'm already going to you. You know, I'm getting a totaled car. So I got it, and I parted it out. So for quite a long time, I think like 4 months, I kept the transmission. You know,
How long did the whole process from buying the crashed car to the completed swap? How long was that time frame?
So I'd say around 6 months, so half a year. I mean, it's not horrible.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
Considering you did it pretty much yourself, and you're not a.
I mean, I did it with the help of 3 other guys, but realistically, it was pretty plug and play. Because one thing about these Miatas is that underneath the hood, where the clutch fluid reservoir is, that wasn't there originally, and you didn't even have to drill into it. So that part just kind of bolted on. So everything was bolt-on, essentially.
So pretty much, you didn't really have to do any crazy modifications.
No.
It was really just plug and play.
It was
for the most
really
part?
just plug and play.
And that's what's really cool about these cars is they're so simple. Like they don't have anything crazy.
No, I mean, yeah, there's like the automatic parts and like the manual parts, like the automatic transmission, and then what is it called? For those of you who don't know, the Miatas have like what's called a PPF. It's like what holds the transmission and the drive shaft together. It's for 50-50 weight distribution. There's a manual one which is longer, which you just have to bolt in, bolt out. It has the automatic differential, but I don't see a difference, funny enough. I mean, yeah.
Oh, is it open diff?
It's open diff, which is...
It doesn't matter. You're just not like you're drifting or
If you're
anything.
cruising this, it doesn't matter. I'll be honest.
It's probably, and honestly, for somebody like you, it probably makes more sense to have an open diff.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably drives better.
there's definitely benefits of having a LSD, you know, but I don't want to pay right now for an LSD, so at the moment, open diff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a direct swap, so it's again from another 2000 Miata. So it wasn't like from a 2001, 1999, nope, same year, same parts.
And what did you end up doing with the rest of the car?
With the rest of the car, Like the parts car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I ended up towing it to a junkyard, which honestly, I mean, I didn't have any purpose. Yes, I could have saved it, let's be honest, but I don't want to invest in another Miata if I'm already building one, you know? It's kind of parted it out. I did keep some parts. I mean, they're in the corner right here. There's some, like, there's oil, there's some interior bits and pieces, like, just the essentials, you know, just in case a latch breaks or something, you know? Or
But
if I want to resell
you
them.
got money back, right, for the shell?
I paid $50 for the shell, so I actually lost $50.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But didn't you get money back, like, from selling the rest of the car?
No.
Which made... Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh,
So
no.
I went with Chris to the junkyard because that's where we towed it to.
Oh, okay.
And the guy, because I didn't even, can we put this in the video? I didn't even have like the registration or anything.
No, it doesn't... I don't think it matters, yeah, no. I mean, it was a salvaged car. You were never going to drive it to begin with.
To put it simply, I didn't have any legal paperwork, so the guy told me just pay me 50 and I'll get rid of it. It wasn't a bad deal, you know?
So you pretty much got the whole manual swap for $1,100?
$1,100, I would say it's a little bit expensive, but if you think about it,
Nowadays, that's probably pretty reasonable.
Pretty
considering
reasonable.
What other manual swaps for other cars are.
And it came with an entire, you know, car parts, you know?
Yeah. So you got other stuff out of it.
Yeah, I technically did sell the engine, $500, you know? I mean, yes, I did make money back, but
Oh, that's what it was.
I just sold the engine itself. I mean, so it
So
wasn't
then
a lot.
so then you spent 600.
600? Yes. I mean, 600 for a manual swap's not
Yeah,
bad at all.
that's really good. That's really good.
But yeah, overall, I mean, that's how the build's been to this day. At the moment, she currently just sits because I don't drive it enough, you know? Yeah, I mean,
You have a daily, right?
I do have a daily, yeah, and that's my Tacoma, which is actually a detailing setup, funny enough. I don't know.
Yeah. So talk a little about your detailing setup. You guys can see in the back. He has all his stuff in.
The one thing about the Tacoma is that this thing got hit again. So it got hit, I know, yeah. It got hit again in the front right, so the front passenger side.
So wait, I'm sorry. It's super funny too because my car is almost double salvage title and his car is way more than a clean title. It's like a perfect title.
It's still clean title, by the way.
He keeps getting hit, and I daily my Miata that's salvage title, and I have never had any issues with anybody hitting me.
It's still clean title, by the way.
So it's like it's I don't know.
It's just the luck
Weird
of the draw.
coincidence, I think.
It's the luck of the draw, I feel like.
That too.
And so, yeah, I mean, the Tacoma, I bought it. I don't know. It's out there. It's silver, too, just to, you know, pay tribute to, you know, what started it all, you know?
Silver cars are superior.
Silver cars,
I
they
don't
hide
care.
everything. They hide scratches. They hide everything.
That's true. Yeah, they're just mutual.
No, I am a mobile detailer, too.
So let them know what your business name is.
So my business name is actually SNR Detailing, and so I specialize in anything from interior detailing, exterior detailing, paint correction, full ceramic coating. So if you need your car protected.
If you guys are in the Southern California Escondido area, give them a shout. But yeah, I mean, you just started this not even a year ago?
We're about to break a year, by the way, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, as you guys can see, he has all his detailing supplies in the back here.
So this car is actually ceramic coated, by the way. So if you don't know, just a brief mention, ceramic coating, it's like a semi-permeable hydrophobic layer, which in short terms means it's just the coating. It's a waterproof coating that lasts a really long time. And so if you're in the rain and if you're out there in the element, if you coat it on your glass, it's just going to fall right off.
Which is very important because, I mean, it's a show car, so you want it to be as perfect as possible at all times.
Show cars need to be protected, by the way.
But that's pretty much wraps it up. Is there anything else you want to mention? I think we've covered pretty much everything.
We've pretty much covered everything, yeah, from head to toe, yeah.
Super simple. I think this really embodies the whole less is more in like a VIP style, which is really cool for Miatas because I don't think I've ever seen. Have you guys ever seen a VIP Miata? Because I don't think I have.
I
Really,
mean,
aside from this, so I think it's really cool. Maybe in Japan, I'm sure there's some dude out there.
I've seen two in Japan, but they already got rid of their cars, so I don't know how many are left.
He might be one of one.
Well, it could be one of one. Who knows?
Cool. So I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been Ricky.
It's been Sebastian.
R3BVKY on Instagram. And what is your at?
My ad is Sebsons for my car page, and if you want to follow the detailing page, it's SNR Detailing. SD.
So yeah, that's been episode 1 of the StyleCast. I've been your host, Ricky.
And I'm Sebastian again.
And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.